You need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fingers and say, that's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy. That's the bad guy.
Okay, we'll start with this. Eddie Hearn hopes WBA honors Shakram Giyasov's spot as Rolly Romero's mandatory challenger. Eddie Hearn has heard the rumors regarding Rolly Romero defending his WBA title against Manny Pacquiao next. Matchroom Boxing's chairman hopes, however, that the WBA honors its commitment to Shakram Giyasov, the sanctioning organization's mandatory challenger in the welterweight division. Giyasov stepped aside to allow a title unification bout between Jaron Ennis and Eimantas Stanionis 6 months ago, but the unbeaten Uzbek has made it perfectly clear that he has no intention of allowing another WBA welterweight title fight to happen without his involvement. Look, Shakram Giyasov, I think it's been frustrating, Hearn said during the newest episode of Matchroom Boxing's podcast. I'm really glad the WBA have done the right thing and ordered that fight against Rolly Romero. There's rumors of a Romero-Pacquiao matchup, but Shakram Giyasov's been waiting. And he's been waiting a long time, so we expect the WBA to honor that position, and we expect Giyasov to fight for the WBA title, most likely in early 2026. The WBA ordered a Romero vs. Giyasov fight this past October 13th and gave their representatives 30 days to willingly agree to a deal. If they can't come to an agreement on November 13th, the WBA Championships Committee could call for a purse bid. While awaiting a shot at the WBA title, Giyasov is tentatively expected to participate in a tune-up fight November 14th at Humo Arena in Tashkent, the capital of Uzbekistan. His opponent hasn't been solidified. Pacquiao...
Let's just cut through the bullshit, alright?
They're currently in the 30-day free negotiation period now that the fight has been ordered, and if they don't reach a deal with Rolly by November 15th, purse bid's gonna get called, Rolly's gonna get put on the spot.
I'm surprised the WBA actually ordered this fight, but now that they have, I don't expect Rolly to have it. He's not gonna fight Shakram Giyasov, but he's likely not gonna fight Manny Pacquiao either, because the whole point of the Pacquiao fight was to allow Manny to fight for a belt, to become the oldest welterweight champion. Without a belt for Manny to fight for, I don't think it happens, the fight between Rolly and Manny. So then what does happen?
There have been tenuous rumors about Manny Pacquiao's next engagement, perhaps an arrangement with his old promoter, Top Rank, which we talked about in another video. Rumors and rumblings about a Lomachenko fight, a Teofimo Lopez fight. That's in regards to Manny. In regards to Rolly, if he loses his WBA title, and that kills the Pacquiao fight, what he might then do is move into a Ryan Garcia rematch. If this order from the WBA costs him the WBA title and the Manny Pacquiao fight, that then becomes his most lucrative option.
That's it.
Fighting Ryan again. And I'm sure that Ryan would be receptive to a rematch. Ryan needs it. Ryan needs redemption.
What happens to Giyasov?
Well, if Rolly Romero loses his WBA title as a result of this order, Shakram Giyasov, who's currently ranked at number 1, may end up fighting former champion Eimantas Stanionis, who's currently ranked at number 2, having had a rebound fight not but a few weeks ago in his native Lithuania. So he's back in the winner's bracket, currently ranked at number 2, right behind Shakram Giyasov.
Oh, Giyasov versus Stanionis. That's a good fight.
This is what I meant when I said that the welterweight division would be allowed to heal. As soon as Rolly drops that WBA title, things can start to go back to normal again. The only catch-22 in all of this is that it all relies on the WBA to hold Rolly's feet to the fire. You're relying on them to do their job.
That if he don't comply with the order, they strip him of the belt.
It's what'll set this sequence of events in motion. In truth, I'm a bit surprised they ordered the fight at all. Some are interpreting the order as retaliation.
For what?
Now, very recently, an email from Tom Brown of TGB Promotions which is just another way of saying PBC. An email was leaked expressing Tom Brown's support of the Muhammad Ali Revival Act, an amendment that would allow for the formation of unified boxing organizations to form their own leagues and cut the WBA, other sanctioning bodies like it, out of the picture. Gilberto Mendoza, the president of the WBA, caught wind of this.
And as you can imagine, he wasn't happy.
He said, well, you saw that tweet. Tom Brown is for the bill to change the Ali Act. I don't like that because, well, a lot of criticism we've received is being supportive of the PBC, and I won't deny it. He supported it by writing to the California State Athletic Commission. Tom, whom I respect, there's no indifference with him. If he wants to leave to TKO, fine, go. If you're saying he's going to TKO, perfect, but I didn't like it. If you want to go against us after we helped you, obviously, you're not going to be welcomed. And it's not just me, it's other members who read what's going on. That's what Gilberto Mendoza had to say at the last WBA convention about Tom Brown's support of the Ali Act and the way that all this ties into the Romero versus Giyasov order.
Retaliation. Tell me that it doesn't sound like they're retaliating.
Where normally they would have held off on ordering such a fight. Now
No, they don't give a fuck. Now that they know you're supporting the formation of boxing leagues that would effectively cut out the alphabet organizations, Gilberto has interpreted that as a betrayal, and your fighters, seemingly, no longer have his blessing or his protection. If the WBA sticks to their guns, Rolly won't fight Giyasov. He'll drop the belt, maybe go fight Ryan again. And Giyasov, he might fight Stanionis for the newly vacated title, at which point the winner of a Giyasov versus Stanionis fight could then go unified titles with newly crowned IBF champion, Louis Kraka. And the welterweight division will be allowed to heal. Boxing doesn't need champions like Rolly Romero that contribute nothing to the division and nothing to the sport. Rolly is tantamount to a paperweight with a title, a placeholder. What about Manny?
I don't give a fuck about Manny, or his bid to become the oldest welterweight champion. Why would I give a fuck about that? Why would I want to see a 47, close to 50-year-old man still fighting?
Manny needs to sit down somewhere.
In men's light heavyweight news, Ben Whitaker reveals why he had to leave BOXXER, London, England. Matchroom's new boy, Ben Whitaker, insists he had little choice but to leave BOXXER due to their lack of regular dates. It was announced earlier this month that the 28-year-old Whitaker, 9-0 with 1 draw and 6 knockouts, had signed a long-term promotional deal with Matchroom after spending the first 3 years of his pro career with Ben Shalom and BOXXER. He will fight for the first time under the new banner on November 29th when he takes on Benjamin Gavazi at Birmingham's National Exhibition Center in the first outing of what he hopes will be a busy spell with his new promoter. Now, Whitaker has opened up on his decision to turn his back on BOXXER in order to seek pastures anew. Things were happening in the sport, and I just wanted activity, he said. But of course, it went a bit quiet, so I was gutted. I think we all knew we were going to come down this road. I was lucky.
How so?
Lucky enough to become a free agent and spoke to everyone, and for me, Matchroom just gave me the best plan, the best route. And they've been there and done it before. They've done it with fighters, probably not even with my talent. So I thought, I can do it with them. With a bit of guidance, I'll be all right. Activity is key. Elsewhere, they couldn't really do a lot of things, but for me, it's about getting active. I think when you get into that later part of your career, where it's like world titles or contending for a world title, your career will slow down. Whereas this year, I've only had 1 fight. You're not going to learn like that. So for me, Matchroom put down a plan where I can do 3 to 4 fights a year, and that's what I needed. Whitaker's departure from BOXXER means he will not be performing on the BBC following news that Shalom's company has signed a deal to take professional boxing back to the national broadcaster for the first time in more than 20 years. However, it is still not clear how many dates they will have annually or whether the license fees on offer from BBC will allow them to compete with DAZN, the platform on which Matchroom and Queensbury events are shown. When asked whether he had to leave BOXXER because he simply could not get enough dates, Whitaker said, kind of, yeah, because I'm 28 now, and time waits for no man. The way things were going, when am I gonna fight? Who am I gonna fight? It was just all over the place. What BOXXER have done for me is great, and I'll say that to everybody. They helped me out. They got me into a great position. At the end of the day, it's just business. You can't take things personal. But I think we knew. Down the line, me and Eddie and Frank Smith would happen. And we're here now.
On BOXXER's BBC deal, he added, yeah, the platform was great, but when I looked into it, it wasn't like BBC One, it was BBC Three.
I'm not here just for numbers. I'm here to try and make better fights. I'm here to try and get my ranking right. I'm here to try and divert my career the right way. I've got the numbers already now. My social media is okay. A lot of people know me, so armchair fans, if they know you or they don't know you, doesn't really matter to me right now. Whitaker has not boxed since he stopped Liam Cameron in the second round of their grudge rematch in Birmingham on April 20th. It is his only action since their first fight, which took place a year ago this month. He will draw a line under those 7 months out of the ring on November 29th, and incidentally, his headline event with Matchroom will clash with the first BOXXER show of the new BBC era. Around 40 miles north of Birmingham, Fraser Clark and Jamie TKV will meet for the vacant British heavyweight title at Derby's Valent Arena Live. The pair had been scheduled to meet on October 25th until a rib injury to TKV forced a 5-week delay, meaning a scheduled clash with Whitaker on DAZN. The surgeon said, for boxing fans, it's not the best.
Sounds like retaliation. It sounds like Ben Shalom is trying to get back at Ben for going to Matchroom, scheduling these two events at the same time in the hopes that one will cannibalize the other.
I always used to say to my family, why would they do that? You want eyes on every event, so you just try and look for a gap and put it there. There are obviously a lot more gaps in the schedule to put it, but business is business. Personally, I don't think they did it to rub anyone's shoulders. It was probably the only date they could get with the venue.
Don't be naive, Ben.
But come on, man. Only certain people are gonna watch Fraser, and only certain people are gonna watch me. If you did it on different days, you could have opened it up for everyone, but boxing is boxing.
And business is business. For Ben Whitaker, it's just business. It's not personal. For Ben Shalom, I think it's the other way around.
But Ben Whitaker did the right thing. He was only gonna get but so far with just Ben Shalom. Ben never had the bodies to spare to really compete with a Matchroom, with a Queensbury, even when he was on Sky.
Started out with a halfway decent stable of young, unbeaten up-and-comers, but none of them an established draw yet. And without that, you were never going to really be able to compete with Frank or Eddie, much less now that you're on BBC with less money than you had on Sky. Yeah, it's a big network with a lot of reach, but it counts for nothing if resources are scarce.
The fight is a jumping ship. So far, the stable is thinning out. So far, Joshua Buatsi and Lawrence Okoli have left BOXXER for Queensbury. Ben Whitaker has left BOXXER for Matchroom.
So how many more fighters can we expect to leave BOXXER in the next calendar year for the same reason that Ben left?
This could be the beginning of an exodus of fighters that leads BOXXER to dissolve completely. Good as a promotional outfit with no talent.
They already didn't have much to begin with. Now, they have even less than that.
In men's heavyweight news, Alexander Usyk versus Fabio Wardley could take place in March, Frank Warren says. London, England. Promoter Frank Warren is targeting a March date for Alexander Usyk's undisputed title defense against mandatory challenger Fabio Wardley, and the Hall of Fame promoter has revealed that the fight will land at either London's Wembley Stadium or in Riyadh. Wardley stopped Joseph Parker in the 11th round of their O2 Arena thriller.
Dubious stoppage the most, but still, a stoppage is a stoppage.
Now the 30-year-old from Ipswich will return home for some downtime with his partner and young daughter before returning to camp ahead of a career-defining clash with Usyk in the spring. The fight between Usyk and Wardley has been ordered, so there will be a period of negotiations now, Warren said. And if we can't reach an agreement, then it will go out to purse bids. I believe we will reach an agreement.
Do you think Frank really wants to make this fight when so many people are favoring Usyk already to beat Flavio?
Well, there were a lot of people favoring Joseph Parker to beat Flavio, and look what happened. The fight won't be until next year, of course. I think it will be sometime in March, said Frank Warren.
March or April seems likely.
Usyk's 2 consecutive victories over Tyson Fury last year both took place at the Kingdom Arena in Saudi Arabia. He reclaimed his IBF title to become a 3-time undisputed champion via a win over Daniel Dubois at Wembley Stadium in what was their rematch. Wardley, too, has fond memories of the Saudi capital having stopped both David Adilier and Fraser Clark there, while London has also been a happy hunting ground. Although he has yet to box at Wembley, now Warren says he could get that chance. I'd love for it to be in the UK, but there are only two places for this fight, and that's either in Riyadh or here in London. That's it. I'd do it at Wembley Stadium, and it would be a sellout, Warren said. You know what you're getting with Usyk, and you know what you're getting with Flavio. It's going to be exciting. Flavio has got to be one of the most exciting fighters in the world. As a draw, Flavio is one of the biggest draws in boxing. In his last fight at Ipswich, he drew 27,000 people to a football stadium in heavy rain. Then tonight shows he's a massive attraction, and it will only get bigger. Wardley, 20-0 with 1 draw and 19 knockouts, who has famously transformed from a white-collar fighter with 0 amateur experience to the #1 contender for the undisputed heavyweight crown, has the highest knockout percentage of any other contender in the division. Parker was the latest to join Wardley's hit list. But he couldn't do it to an all-time great Usyk, could he? Correct me if I'm wrong. He couldn't do it to Parker, according to the bookmakers either, Warren said. He couldn't do it to anyone. But you know what? He keeps doing it. That's a fact of life. As everyone was saying before the fight, there are levels, but then there is Fabio Wardley, who's got the leveler. If he catches you with it, you're out of the game. Of course, Usyk will be a massive favorite. I understand that, but if Fabio catches him, he will have an extraordinary chin to stand that force.
So Joseph Parker definitely seems a man hard done by the Brits, by Howard Foster.
And it certainly isn't my intention to pour salt in the wound when I say what I'm about to say, but the truth is, Wardley versus Usyk is bigger than Parker versus Usyk.
And more exciting.
Parker would have won that fight the way everybody expected him to win that fight, and everything would have gone along according to the script. Going into an Usyk fight, yeah, it would have been a solid fight, but it wouldn't have been as intriguing, as exciting, whereas now, given Fabio Wardley beating the odds and beating Joseph Parker, you can't really count him out.
You can pick Usyk to win, you can have him as the favorite, but Fabio is definitely live in that fight. He's a live underdog.
And from a marquee perspective, if you're Frank Warren, it's a lot easier to sell Wardley versus Usyk than Parker versus Usyk. I don't think you could have did Parker versus Usyk at Wembley.
Parker's not a Brit. He's a New Zealander. A lot of people know him, and a lot of people respect him, and a lot of people think that stoppage was premature. But the facts are what the facts are. In the United Kingdom, that has fast become the hub for heavyweight boxing, it's easier to sell Wardley versus Usyk than Parker versus Usyk. That's just an inconvenient truth.
What gives the heavyweight division its reputation? It's a fighter like Fabio Wardley, who, down on the cards more than once, turned it all around with a single shot, a single punch. The division where everybody's one punch away from getting knocked out.
It's what makes it the most exciting.
Fabio Wardley, for better or worse, is lending much credence to that notion and that reputation.